Hey, what's up guys, Steven here. Welcome back to another video and the waiting time is over. Here's the Sony A7 Mark IV. Now just to begin with, I'm not a super professional videographer. You see my videos, they are okay, but they're not a super professional level. Anyhow, this camera features a lot of things that are really nice for my work, that makes my work a lot easier. Now, if you're into photos, I will not talk too much about the photo perspective on this camera. Please check out some professional reviews about that. But if you're like me, some kind of guy that makes videos, does YouTube videos, maybe you'll do some adverts for your shop or for other people, then let's have a closer look because I'll show you why this camera is really amazing for my work.
The A7 Mark IV is powered by the same Bions XR processing engine found inside Sony's flagship A1. A mirrorless camera, a little bit more expensive than the A7 Mark IV. The processor is paired with the new 33 megapixel 35mm Exmor-R CMOS sensor, and the sensor is full frame, back illuminated and has a wide ISO sensitivity range of 50 up to 204,800. I could test it with the 24 to 70mm G Master lens and it's a great couple. Now Sony claims the sensor helps with more accurate color reproduction. Nevertheless, for pictures I haven't been able to inspect the A7 Mark IV RAW files because the Adobe Camera Raw doesn't yet support it. But as I'm going to order one, I can update you guys later. Images are sharp and detailed thanks to the camera's 15-stop dynamic range, and also there was very little noise with it. But I did test the camera outdoors under good lighting conditions because I didn't have enough time to test it just around 3 days. Now the top burst shooting speed is 10 frames per second. It's actually the same like the A7 Mark III, but the A7 Mark IV's autofocus speeds and buffer are really fast. The camera's in-body stabilization, which now claims up to 5.5 stops of compensation, also lets you shoot with very low shutter speeds and still get pretty sharp results. The camera also comes with an improved electronic viewfinder with a 3.69 million dot resolution and 120 frames per second refresh rate, which is a great update. The A7 Mark IV also takes the advantage of some advanced autofocus features, with around 94% of the frame covered with 759 face detection autofocus points. And it's also really interesting that Sony uses AI in its cameras to detect and track the eyes and the face of a human, animal or bird and track the subject while they move in real time. And I've tried it out with birds and my dog and it worked really great. So the camera has seen a 30% improvement in human eye tracking, better animal eye detection and support for bird eye detection in videos as well as in stills. One new autofocus feature is also the focus map view, which displays a colored map on your screen to help you to better visualize the depth of field while you focus on your shot. Now this can be really useful if the focus point isn't all that clear. Now finally, there's also a new breathing compensation setting. This new focusing breathing mode is only compatible on a selected list of Sony brand E-mount lenses and it helps to compensate for distracting focus breathing issues. As far as video recording goes, this is my real usage. Of course, sometimes I shoot some crappy Instagram pictures, but for that guys, please check any other review. The A7 Mark IV is capable of shooting 4K at 60p and there's support for full frame 7K oversampling at up to 30p. But of course guys, you can still shoot 120 frames in 1080p as well. Now for filmmakers who like to color grade their videos, the jump to 10-bit 422 color sampling from 8-bit on the A7 Mark III is really big. The maximum video bitrate has also jumped from 100 megabit per second to 600 megabit per second and you can shoot 4K 30p using the full width of the sensor. The eye autofocus and its new tracking mode is also available in video mode as I've mentioned before, and this also increases the degree of which you can depend on the autofocus when staying on your chosen subject. I filmed some shots in 4K 60 in S-Log3 as I want to get a little bit more into color grading and practice a bit more, but trust me guys, those files are huge. Now without proxies, it's really not possible to edit this on a MacBook Pro 16 from 2020. So coming from my GH5S, now stepping up to the Sony, I really have to create proxies for my workflow, otherwise this is really taking me quite long and a lot of nerves. But also there's a slight disappointment and there is a crop in 4K 60, so a Super 35 crop, which is similar in size to an APS-C sensor. Now naturally, Sony wants video shooters to upgrade to cameras like the A7 III, but that might still be a slight disappointment to those who wanted to have a completely uncompromising hybrid camera. Anyhow, I really wanted to, but I couldn't try out Sony's Imaging Edge mobile app, With that you can also use Wi-Fi and Bluetooth to transfer photos and videos and control your camera. The camera also supports UVC UAC standards, meaning that you can host 4K live stream with a USB connection without downloading any additional software. Now this is another feature I didn't test out myself, but I can certainly see it coming very handy for vloggers who need a camera that they can use at home and on the go. So perfect for me. Now for me it seems like it's a great all-rounder for my usage. Like sometimes I want to do some more cinematic shots but still have a great camera for pictures, but also use it for my streams. But now let's quickly check it out in the hands and let's see how the camera feels. So guys, there we go. Here's the Sony A7 Mark IV and it is really an amazing camera. I spent some limited time with it and I don't want to give it back because this camera truly is the perfect all-rounder for me. So I'm shooting currently my videos with some Panasonic, and if I'm traveling or vlogging, I actually use the 6600 because the 6600 is really small. It shoots full HD 120, it shoots 4K, and yeah, it's an okay camera, but the Sony A7 Mark IV is not only amazing for vlogging, but also to get some super amazing cinematic shots and some really great low-light performance. So I'm really looking into buying this body because it's simply amazing. Now, well, just that you see the size comparison between the 6000 series and, for instance, the A7 Mark IV right over here. Let's have a closer look now at the new camera. So the body weighs 658 grams. Magnesium body, it feels really nice in the hands, it feels robust, it feels stable, and all the controls are super easy to reach, so at least for me. And the shooting button right over here, this is something where the shooting button on the 6600, it's here on the side, don't like it too much, but also this is one of the reasons why I would really like to kind of upgrade to the A7 Mark IV. But there are much more features that make it a really amazing camera, not only for filming cinematic videos or taking pictures, but also for vlogging. And we have a flip screen, so you've seen it already on other Sony cameras, but here finally on the A7 Mark IV, as you can see, flip screen, you can turn it around like this. Yeah, you can close it and you just cover it up and there you go. And this is really, really amazing. Anyhow, let's have a closer look at all the connectors. So we have a microphone in right over here. Then down under we have headphone out. That's also really good. Then what we have right over here, we have a USB Type-C port, so to charge it or just to connect it to the computer for using it for streaming, to copy movies or pictures. Then here we have a multi-out, and let's check what we have right over here, a full-sized HDMI port. So if you want to connect a monitor or external recorder, this is really perfect. Finally, not that mini HDMI anymore, because that was really, really annoying. Now you get a maximum ISO of 204,800 for stills and 102,400 for movies, so this is really sick. We have 5.5 step in-body stabilization plus digital stabilization, the so-called active mode. Now this camera shoots a maximum of 4K 60 frames per second or Full HD 120 frames per second, so there were some speculations that it can go actually higher than this, but no, it can't, but it's definitely enough for me. So I shoot most of my things handheld and then I use 4K 60. If I really want to get some nice slow motion shots, I switch to Full HD 120, definitely enough for me. So for filming, absolutely great. Now talking about filming, well, that means we also have a CF Express Type A slot, but you can also put in normal SDs and also a secondary slot also for SD cards right over here. Now regarding the dynamic range, we have 15 plus stops with S-Log, we have 422 10-bit, and the crop factor is 1.5x in 4K 60, as you will see a little bit later. Now regarding the autofocus, it's also really fast. The autofocus works really good. 759 face detection autofocus points, that means 94% coverage. We have now the eye autofocus again for humans. I also tested with animals, so with my dog. Then I was shooting some birds and the autofocus was working actually really good. Now continuous shooting, there were some rumors that it goes to 15 frames per second, but actually this tops out at 10 frames per second. I also had some questions about the screen. The screen is really good, 3 inches, and the viewfinder also 100% QXGA OLED viewfinder with 120 frames per second refresh rate available. Regarding the mount, we have the Sony E mount as always, so there's no change on that. You can use all your lenses. Now for vlogging I actually use a not so cheap but a cheaper 12 to 24G. This is actually a really nice lens for vlogging. Now it's not so expensive, but also with that one I don't have to worry when I run around with that and just randomly do my travel vlogs or whatever. Now also, if you have a lens like this attached, the form factor is still kind of nice to carry it around. As accessory, I also really like this microphone right over here from Sony, so you just slide it in right over here and there you go. Works perfectly nice with the camera, and like this, also with the flip screen, you have a really amazing vlogging setup. Alright, but now enough of the specifications, let's have a closer look here at the camera. Well, tripod mount right over here. Alright, then regarding the batteries, it's still using the Sony NP-FZ100, so that's really amazing. It's actually the same batteries like in the 6600, and yeah, you can charge it within the camera with the Type-C cable, or you just get an external charger. Alright, then right over here we have the wheels. This wheel you can also lock, as you can see. We have C1 right over here, white balance, C3, so my lens is currently not attached, C4 to turn off or on the touch operation of the display. We have the wheel right over here for display, for ISO, and yeah, it's actually working really good. So to get quickly to all the controls, it's super simple. Display you can flip out like this. And now maybe let's have a closer look here at the menu and what we can find here inside. Alright, so I've reattached now the lens, and let's quickly here go through the menu so I can show you how it looks like. So neat looking menu. This is a huge upgrade over the very complicated menu. I mean, it's still a little bit complicated, but now it's kind of easy once you get the hang of it to find all the settings. First of all, maximum, as you can see here, 4K. So here in the movie settings, we can see I'm shooting here 200M, 422 10-bit. And you can also have here proxy settings for proxy recording. You can set the proxy file format. There is lens compensation, as you can see right over here, and also the breathing compensation. That's really cool. Then of course you have the usual things: media, file, shooting mode, USB streaming, silent mode, audio recording, so you can adjust everything. Kind of important for me for shooting the videos, so to set also the audio recording level and stuff like that. Then image stabilization, so we have steady shot, you can switch to active right over here, and also you have manual steady shot adjustment, so as you can see here you can set the focal length. So let's give it back, and there we go. So you navigate with this around the menu, shooting display, marker display. Then right over here we have exposure settings, exposure compensation, metering, so phase priority, spot metering. You can set the white balance, so you can also set it with the custom key to get there easier. Then color tone, as you can see here, we also have the picture profile a little bit hidden. So picture profile 7, 8, 9, so for the S-Log. Then soft skin effect, also right over here. And the zebra display, you can also switch to on and off right over here. Then here we have some autofocus settings, as you can see right over here. Focus area, face or eye autofocus. So as you can see, you can switch here between human, animal or bird. And this was actually working really, really good. So I tried with the birds, I tried with my dog, and this was really interesting how this improved. So focus assist right over here. So here you can also switch on the focus map. This is really a kind of interesting feature, and the peaking display, you can also switch it to on the peaking level and also which color you want to have it. So then right over here we have the playback things, magnification, so everything for viewing. Here it gets a little bit more interesting. So here we have smartphone connection, so also to use it with the app. Then transfer and remote, so FTP file transfer, Bluetooth remote control, PC remote function. We have Wi-Fi, of course, built in, Bluetooth, also wired LAN if you want to, and yeah, that's it right over here. And here we have the usual things like you can customize the dial, the touch operation right over here, and yeah, USB connection mode, you can switch it. Also USB power supply is on right now. And yeah, external output, so it can output here in 4K through the HDMI. That's really good. And yeah, that's basically it. That's everything here we saw in the menu. Alright guys, so here's a quick handheld vlogging test with the 12 to 24mm, and well, it's actually not too bad. So the camera, of course, almost 700 grams with the lens. It's a little bit heavy, but for vlogging you have a really nice grip. Now this is currently 4K 60, so handheld, so check out the stabilization. I think actually for vlogging it does a really good job. I really hope the sound is working. I just got the microphone to work by switching it to digital. And yeah, so far it looks really good. I will now switch to full HD so you can actually see the difference in terms of the crop factor. So guys, the same again. This is now 4K 24p, so as you can see the crop factor is gone, so it's much more wide. And yeah, so far I have to say for vlogging it actually seems good. It's super windy right now, but I think the Sony microphone should do a really good job. And yeah, stabilization is pretty nice, so I can really imagine using that camera as part of my vlogging setup with some other lens for some cinematic shots, so that's really amazing. And guys, last but not least, 1080p 60 frames test here, and yeah, stabilization is really smooth as you can see, so really heavy setup, but holding that with one hand, and it does a really good job. So steady shot is currently also on, the lens correction and everything, but yeah, it's doing really well. Alright, so I've just switched to the G Master lens, and this is definitely too heavy for vlogging, but the 12 to 24 is actually doing a really good job. And yeah, I turned steady shot off right now to test, but also like this, it's doing a really good job.
So guys, we're now here at the end of this video, and there's a lot of improvement from the previous generation. Maybe for some of you not, but for me there is definitely. So I had the A7 Mark III, unfortunately it got stolen with all my G Master lenses, and at this point I didn't want to go back to Sony because I was unhappy with a few things like the monitor. I'm so used to flip monitors, so finally there's one here again. Then the full-size HDMI is also really nice because many times for tabletops also I use a monitor to see things if they're really in focus, and that makes life really easier. So I was going to a Panasonic GH5S, but now after seeing how well this camera performs, now I really like Sony cameras in terms of video quality, and now this one here, really easy to use, plenty of features, really fast focus. That is something I have big issues on the GH5S. For sure, depending on the lens, but the focus on the Panasonic is not really nice. And you know, just running around shooting, I think focus is really important, especially for vlogs. And also I shoot animals sometimes, and that's really important to have a fast focus. And this is why the A7 Mark IV is finally a really good option with a flip screen, full-size HDMI, all the connectors I need, dual memory card slots, 4K 60, full HD 120, and a really fast focus. So that are actually the main features why I love this camera. The new sensor, the low light performance compared to the Micro Four Thirds, it's just on another level. So yeah guys, I'll now switch to the Sony A7 Mark IV. Now I have to give it back to Sony today, but I'm going to order one, and then I'll keep you updated with how it keeps up with my workflow. But for now I have to say it's really an amazing camera, and if you're looking into it, Also make sure to watch a lot of other videos. It's just my perspective. I think Sony did a great job on this one, so congrats. Now, as always guys, if you have any questions about this camera, make sure to write them down below. I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. And feel free to also leave your suggestion for lenses, other cameras, your experience as videographers, or yeah, just for taking pictures. Make sure to start a discussion down below in the comments. As always guys, big thanks for watching. As always guys, big thanks for watching. Now, it was a bit stressful to test this camera just in 2 days, so I couldn't do too much also because of the weather here. Luckily today it was nice, but anyhow, it was so nice to have this opportunity to test out this camera. Big thanks to Sony here at this point again, and see you very soon.